Today we have a real treat in the studio, Bennett Maxwell. So I'll give a quick bio of you. And this is stuff I pulled offline, so I think it should be great. Should be accurate. So Bennett is an entrepreneur, investor, founder, and podcast host. Bennett is the founder of Dirty Dough, an incredibly popular cookie company that is rapidly growing its presence throughout the Intermountain West and beyond. Prior to founding Dirty Dough, Bennett started and sold his solar company, Switched to Solar. That's the name of it, right?
That's it,
Switch
man.
to Solar. All within a 15-month time frame. And prior to that, he led sales teams at various solar security and pest control companies. In addition to all of his business ventures, he is the host of Deeper Than Dough, a podcast focused on finding real fulfillment in life. So welcome to the show, Bennett.
Dude, that was a good intro summary encompassing everything, man.
Yeah, try to capture it all, man. So we met.
And I also like we have a special tree. I don't know if you're doing that on purpose, but
it's a play on words there with the cookies.
No, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So we met probably 6 months ago. You may or may not recall, but we were at that Avengers event in Lehigh. And I think the main topic of our conversation was that I had franchised the Crumble Cookies out in Atlanta. And we were kind of talking about...
Yeah, how's that going?
So we actually sold it.
Okay.
Yeah, we sold it. Man, so we opened it in...
Were you partners with a few other people? Because I knew somebody in Atlanta. Was it...
Blake...
Lowry?
Blake Morgan and Lowry. So Lowry...
Was he one of your partners or is that a different...
Okay. They were coming after us. So
I know is that the same Crumble then? Or is that...
A different one. Yeah.
They didn't buy
it. They did
They're killing it.
They are?
That's what I heard.
Well, good for them. That's great. Yeah. So, when we talked, you were kind of in the early stages of Dirty Dough, or that's my recollection. And I know you guys have blown out, but we'll jump into all that. Before we do, the first question I usually ask my guests is just to help us understand, you are an entrepreneur, you got a lot going on. You founded, sounds like, multiple companies. So what should we understand about your childhood or your upbringing to kind of help us understand who you are today?
Yeah. I mean, I was hustling when I was little, trying to make some money, dude. I was raised by a single mom. There's one of 9 kids.
Wow.
And so anyways, if you wanted an extra $1, you can't go ask mom for an extra $1. You got to go earn your dollars, So we were selling candy bars. When I say we, like me and my brothers, in elementary school, we did some lawn aeration sales, like in junior high, knocking door to door. And then to pay for sports, you can either just pay for it or you can go sell whatever they're selling. And I did wrestling, football, and rugby. And wrestling and rugby, ironically enough, it was cookie dough.
Oh, okay.
So I would sell, and I'd always sell the most cookie dough out of anybody else on the team to make sure everything was paid for. And then football, it was like those discount cards. So I actually went here in Orem, Mountain View High School. Okay. So it was the Bruin card. I'm like, well, if you go to Ernie's Sports Deli just 2 times, you'll already make your money back. So I was pitching people like that. And then I also did banners. So that was to pay for like football program. But if you want to go to football camp, you have to go sell like a banner.
Got it.
That's going to be hung up on the stadium. And I went and cold knocked businesses to do that. So it prepared me, man, to face rejection, I guess. I don't know.
I love it.
But just that mindset, and that's like, I don't get paid or I don't get to go to football unless people buy, right? It's not like I'm going to get paid based on the number of doors I knocked. So that's that entrepreneur mindset, I think. Just like it has to get done or else I don't get paid.
So I played baseball in high school, and I remember similar, like the little discount packs or the cards, and it sounds like you, single mom, 9 kids, you guys were fighting, for every penny, it sounds like. And I was in a little bit of a different situation, but it goes to show, dude, like if you are scrappy and you want to make a buck, you can find a way to do it, you know, even at that age. So that's great, man. Okay. So from there, did you go to college? You went kind of through school. Sounds like you did summer sales as well during that period.
Summers. Yeah. So I did Cutco Knives. Okay. Which was great. That was like right before I went on a mission. I did wow, I'm all gargling over here. Drinking an energy drink. That's not a good. I did a 2-year mission in Tijuana, Mexico. Okay. Came back from that and I started going to school. And then I got into summer sales. I was doing pre-med. I dropped out when I was just semester left, kind of as like purposely doing that.
Really?
Purposely just saying, just for everybody that says, oh, you should just finish your only semester left, just to kind of give them like.
So you intentionally dropped out.
The subtle middle finger of like, no, I'm not like, not even a semester is worth the degree, even because, I mean, for me, not for other people, for me, because I was doing sales.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I don't need a degree. Nobody asked me where I went to school. And I was already kind of in that entrepreneur mindset, you know. So I did summer sales for a few years, which led to starting a solar company with my brother. We started that, and within a year, we'd really replaced ourselves out of the business. We had, you know, all the key roles taken care of. That's when I bought Dirty Dough, and it was just a single store location.
Oh, so Dirty Dough.
I didn't found it. No, I'm not a cookie guy, man. I've still never made cookies. I've never made Dirty Dough cookies, but I just saw it as a good business opportunity. And I saw other businesses, and I'm like, well, I can do a little bit better, you know? So that's what I was trying to do.
Got it.
Buy something that's already there and then fix the back end, which in our case, it was how do we get lower cost of goods, lower labor, lower square footage, you know, lower overhead, lower build out costs. Well, all that had to do with centralizing your production. So we produce everything in a warehouse, and then we ship it to the stores, and then all they have to do is put them in the ovens. Nice. So that's kind of our claim, is that we're the most simplistic food franchise model. And that's what I was going for.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So, before we dive into the Dirty Dough side, this solar company kind of breezed through. It sounds like a pretty awesome, thing you guys did there. So a year to kind of start this company and replace yourself. So tell us about, why did you want to start a solar company, and what went into that? How was that getting off the ground?
Yeah.
Maybe dive in there a little bit.
I was wanting to do a solar company. I was selling for another company early 2019, door to door, and they only sold one product basically. And it was a power purchase agreement. But if somebody else wanted to buy the panels or to pay cash or to get a loan, like, we really didn't offer that. So I was doing the hard work of knocking doors, convincing people to go solar. They would sign up with me, and then, you know, they have a month basically till they're actually installed and they could cancel. Well, in that month, they would go find maybe a better product for them, which would be a loan. And I can't really compete with that. So I'm like, you would have never gone solar, but now you're going solar, but you're not going solar with me because they have a better product. And like, I'm not going to convince you out of that. So basically I was doing solar. I loved it, but I wanted to start a company that I can sell what the customer needs, rather than just saying, hey, here's like, you know, one size all fits all solar solution. It's like, no, now we can offer whatever you need. So I started that out with my brother after just a few months of knocking doors. And it went really well. I mean, it was, again, let's recruit guys based on, like, we can actually give the customer what they want, and we can teach you how to sell to find out what they want. So it's a win-win. And it's not like, oh, well, am I just buying this because the salesperson's telling me it's the best, or are they discovering my needs and then fitting that, fitting the product to my needs?
Got it.
So
how did you fund that, just you and your brother out of pocket, or startup costs? I mean, what is that like? Do you have to buy panels? Do you trucks?
No, it's very easy because we just did sales and marketing.
Okay.
So all of that upfront cost is really done by the contractors. Okay. What you're doing is you're going and talking to a contractor and saying, hey, if I sell a solar system, how much do you need? And they'll say, per kilowatt or per panel, whatever, I need $2.50 per watt, or $2,500 per kilowatt. Anything you sell above that, you keep as your sales org. And then we take that margin, and then it's like, okay, here's the override, here's what we get, here's what the manager gets, here's what the sales reps get. So it still was, we did a lot of online sales.
Okay.
So like marketing, and we were spending like 20 or 30 grand a month. And you spend that for a few months before you actually get a return, because it's just the sales process and the installation process. So yeah, I probably invested 100 grand into it.
Okay. Got it. So you guys bootstrap it, and this goes on. So you start it, and within 6 months, 9 months, you feel like, hey, we're getting this off the ground.
Yeah, I would say our first recruit was January of 2020. Okay. And then by like December, so really almost exactly a year, it was kind of like, okay, now we have 2 great sales teams with 2 great managers on each sales team, and then like a regional person, and then an ops person with a whole team underneath them. And they were really running the show.
That's great.
And that's when, really the next month is when I bought Dirty Dough.
Okay.
Because I'm like, I got some extra time now. Maybe I can get into cookies.
So yeah, why pivot from solar? Why not just switch to solar and grow it to, why not that be your baby, and just keep that going and
Franchising.
Okay.
Franchising is the coolest business model. With solar, I just couldn't see, like, we were growing, we were making good money, salespeople were making good money, but I don't know. There wasn't something I was really creating. It was just like, well, we offered different options. Mm-hmm. And we did like a whole gifting service for all of our customers. They would get pizza ordered to their house. We'd send them a bonsai tree. We'd send them a superhero saying they're saving the world, not just saving money. And like, it was fun. And we provided other services. We gave them a bottle of wine the day of install. Like, we really took care of our customers, which our customers were really our sales reps. So if we take care of their customers, then, it attracts more sales reps. But I just couldn't see it becoming like a national brand.
Got it.
To do that, I think you have to get into the installate. I don't know. It's just a big mess where I'm like looking at what the cookies are doing. I'm like, it's cookies.
Yeah.
It's just cookies. There's nothing that complicated about cookies. And then you can franchising. And this is how the franchise model works. I sell Chase a franchise. Chase, you pay me $40,000 today. Then you pay for everything to open up your store. And then once it's open, then you pay me as well.
Right.
So
not a lot of risk on your side.
So like now we did that centralized production model. So we spent a few million before we even had a store open, but now it makes it very easy for you to be like, oh, I can do that. I have the confidence to run a cookie company because I know how to put something on a cookie sheet and then into the oven. Yeah. Right. So it was kind of roundabout, but I'm like, if we invest the money here and make it so simple for franchisees, then franchisees are going to be lining out the door to give us a franchise fee and then pay for the store to be open and then pay the ongoing royalties. And that was a big differentiator because some cookie companies were doing that, like the Mrs. Fields, the Great American Cookie Company. And that's why they've been around for 45 years. Are cookies a fad? Well, how are these companies still multiple hundred locations deep? Are these gourmet cookie sales a fad? Or a craze? I think so. Like, I think they're very inflated. So everybody's fat and happy right now, but I wanted to make sure I had a model that when the sales went back down to normal, that we were profitable. And how do you do that? Low cost of goods. You need one employee that could run your store. Your store needs to be below 1,000 square feet, very little waste.
Yeah.
And to do that, you have to do the centralized production model. So that was kind of the thought and it's working, right? And that's like, okay, let's create a model that franchisees want to buy in at. So it's not just like a win, like you're like, oh, that's so very low risk on you guys. Kind of. I mean, we were in at $2 million before we opened a store.
Yeah, sure.
But now it's a win-win, right? Because that's definitely a win for us, but it's also a win for the franchisee because it's the most simple business that they can get into as far as food franchises go.
So where was the first Dirty Dough? I mean, where was that?
Tempe, Arizona.
Tempe, Arizona.
So that's why that's the one I bought.
How did you come across that?
I went to high school with the guy, Mountain View High School, and he was looking for investment money actually before he had that store, and I gave him some money to take him from his apartment to that storefront, and then I ended up buying it from him.
Really? Did you like buy him out completely?
Yeah.
Okay. So he had the idea. He's kind of the recipe guy or the
I mean, we redid everything. Once I bought the company, other than the name Dirty Dough, every recipe, process, color, branding, logo, everything's different.
Wow. So you basically just bought the name at that point and came in, and that's awesome.
But I was buying something that, so it gave me confidence,
Yeah.
I'm like, they're doing sales, and that's kind of gives you more confidence, right? If you see something that's doing good and you're like, but they didn't do any paid marketing. Like, but those recipes aren't that good,
Yeah.
Like the reviews aren't that good. Like we could make a few tweaks and make a really good cookie.
Right.
We can get a much better location. Those little things that you're like, if they're right here with like doing very minimal, that just shows a bigger room for improvement, I guess. And that's what gave me even more confidence.
So when was that you bought that?
January of 2021.
January 2021.
They're coming up on 2 years, just under 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. And at that point, you still had the solar company. You sold the solar company shortly thereafter.
Yep. It was a little bit too much trying to do both. I had part-time. So I bought that other guy out completely and I brought on some other partners.
Okay.
We were all part-time because, 5 part-time at Dirty Dough.
Yeah.
And then I got on an advisor, And he's like, that's never going to work. It's like, if you want to succeed, it's full time or nothing.
All in, baby.
So I bought everybody out, and it was just back to me.
Okay, so you bought the guy, you brought partners, and then you bought them all back out. Did you sell the solar company and then buy them out with that capital? Or were you using that capital from the solar company to?
A little bit, but I mean, I already purchased the company before. This advisor taught us what vesting agreements were and how to structure partnerships correctly. So they were buying in, and then when I had to buy them out, it was based on something that we already agreed on. So a number was already there of like, whatever you put in, you'll get exactly that out, but not all at once, to not strain the company. Because the idea is, and it wasn't like full-time, part-time, it was really about being able to get your shit done, and they weren't.
Yeah.
So technically, like, either they stepped out or they're fired. And then the agreement was I had to pay them back everything that they put in, but a little bit up front, and then quarterly payments over 2 years. So it doesn't strain the company.
Got it.
So because I listened to this advisor and we structured all the documents right, I was able to get them all out without having to come up with a ton of cash. And then, make payments.
That's great. Well, it's important of having some advisor, people oversight.
Oh yeah. There's no way
mentors.
we would be underwater if I didn't listen to that.
Well, good for that.
So it's a big deal to structure your partnerships right.
Yeah. 100%. Okay. So you buy the first location, you rebrand, you get your stuff all set up. Mm-hmm. Take us from there. So take us from there.
Okay. So December is when we started franchising, and I hired a CEO that's been in franchising for 39 years now. Has grown her company. It's called Maui Wowie Smoothies and Coffee.
Okay.
So she grew it to just under 700 locations. Like, she knows what she's doing. Yeah. They took another company 0 to 90 in a few years. Hired a killer ops person. He was the former COO of Costa Vida and CEO of Swig. And we hired a killer food manufacturing person. Same thing with logistics, just top tier talent all across the board. And we started selling franchises. So that was in December. We had 65 franchises sold in May.
Okay.
None of them have been open yet, because they usually take like 6 months to open.
Yeah.
Which is very fast paced. And then we get hit with the lawsuit by our good friends over at Crumble. And, but nobody knew about it till about end of July. So a month and a half later, or mid-July. And by that time, we now had opened up. So here we are, a 1-store location, 0 franchises open, and $1 billion company suing us. It's like, come on, guys.
That's tough.
Whatever. 45 days later, now we have 2 stores open. So the Tempe, we opened up Vineyard, Utah. Mm-hmm. And now we have 90 franchise sales, and KSL picks it up, like that we're getting sued. Yeah. That was like end of July. Now fast forward to November. So we were at 90 franchise sales in 7 months. That's for sure top 1% of all franchises as far as sales growth goes. Yeah. Well, we went from 90 to 270. I think we're at 273 right now, and it's been,
oh my gosh,
just end of July. Yeah. So like 3.5 months more.
All publicity is good publicity, I guess, right?
So Crumble's a great marketing company.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, I want to dive in, to what extent you can talk about it, but how has the lawsuit? I mean, that whole thing has been everywhere. I mean, we see the billboards. Yeah. I've seen the videos that you guys have produced, which are amazing. Yeah. The quality, they're funny. Yeah. Talk us through how was that as the founder? Like, holy crap. Like, I'm getting sued. I mean, how's it been?
You read the lawsuit, and it's a joke, right? So, like, when we got sued, it was like, holy shoot, we're probably going out of business. That's what you first think. You're like, I'm not going to fight this. And then you read it, and I'm like, maybe I can fight this. This is a joke. And then when it was made public, I'm like, well, this is so stupid. I want everybody to know how stupid it is. So that's when I just spent a lot of time on social media, and posting and comments. And then we did those billboards, which got a lot of attention, but definitely my post got more attention than the billboards themselves. Yeah. Just me posting up there and tagging Crumble and saying, hey, do you like our billboards? Just being a smart ass. Yeah. And then we did the commercials as well, because and people, if you just watch that commercial, you don't know what you're watching. You don't know that that's actually the lawsuit. Like there's nothing in any of those commercials that it mentions that's not in the lawsuit. Wow. Like you would watch that and you're like, sprinkles. Why are they bringing up sprinkles? The lawsuit's not over sprinkles. We'll read it. Like there's pictures with sprinkles on there, or whimsical designs.
Yeah.
What the hell does that even mean, dude? I had to look it up. It's playful, right? Another cookie company can't use playful marketing.
Right.
So it's like, it's so dumb. Let's put it out there. And I will argue, or debate, I should say is the better word, with anybody who thinks that it's not just complete BS.
Yeah.
And guess what? Not one person that has talked to me or even gone back for it with me on comments thinks that crumble has any merit.
That's what
Because I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just bring out the lawsuit. Like, let's just go through it.
Right. Lay it all out there.
Because it's verifiably false. That's the good thing. It's not like a he said, she said.
Sure.
It's like I can verify that this statement was false based on a 5-second Google search.
Wow.
You know, it's like, anyways. So that the fact that we kind of took the bull by its horns instead of, because they're suing a lot of companies. There's at least 8 that I know that they're going after.
Oh, I didn't know that.
All startups. All startups.
Jeez.
No, I shouldn't say all startups. One of them's been very small, all very small. One of them's been around since 2005, and they're still suing them. What? They've been around a decade longer than whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, but we, you know, we spun it. I mean, we didn't spin it, I should say. Spin kind of sounds weird. I pointed out what it was, and it's an attempt to stifle competition, which is legal. It's completely legal. I can file a federal lawsuit to Chase because you said I was ugly, and it's like I don't need any evidence, nothing. I could just do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And by the time you fight it, I mean, maybe your company's under because you don't have the money to go through discovery and hire experts and then do subpoenas, and I mean, there's just a lot that goes into it. So
wow.
Luckily for us, though, because we've sold, you know, almost 200 franchises because of it. That's a few million in franchise fees compared to the less than $100,000 that we've spent on legal fees. So huge net positive for us.
Yeah, I bet. Talk about turning lemons into lemonade.
Yeah.
You guys have done a great job. I follow you on LinkedIn and social media, and just to see your commentary, the posts, and I agree. Most people are like, hey, we're going to side with Dirty Dough because the big bad wolf is coming after him, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Well, so how's it going to end? I mean, so you got $100,000 into legal fees. You're still going through it. I mean, what is it going to come to resolution and go away, or what do you think?
They can't take it to trial. They can't take it to trial and say Dirty Dough uses rectangular boxes, and then like the judge is going to say, well, your trade dress on your box says we do not claim the shape of the box in the trade dress, and the only thing you have a complaint about Dirty Dough's box is the shape. But yet you say it's not part of the trade dress in the actual trade dress. Like, how are they going to take that to court? You know what I mean? Whimsical cookie designs, cookies with sprinkles. Like, there's nothing legitimate. And we are on CNBC, and it was their third-party attorney said this will be dismissed.
Got it.
You know, they don't have a dog in the fight. And then Good Morning America 2 days later had their attorney basically say the same thing.
Really?
So they're just dragging it out, but it's like, I don't know. I think it's hurting their image and it's helping ours. So
yeah. So it hasn't. I mean, you guys are just plowing ahead. There hasn't been any real, you know, pause in growth plans or trajectory for you guys, right? You're just plowing ahead.
We were projecting 4 franchise sales a month, which everybody's like, you're not going to sell that many, and we sold 70 last month. You know what I mean? Like,
that's insane. Yeah,
and it's almost. And people are now reaching out all the time, like, "Oh, are you guys raising capital? We want to be on your next round." And blah blah. How'd you hear about us? The Cookie Wars. Everybody, they've heard about us for the cookie. I went to Pennsylvania a few weeks ago, and I had my Dirty Dough shirt on, and for sure I was the most recognized brand there. And I'm in Pennsylvania. You know, our company hasn't been a franchise for a year, but the Cookie Wars, man.
Yeah, Cookie Wars.
people, because it's funny. You know, it's funny, and people liked it.
That's awesome. Well, I've been to the Vineyard location, and I live out in Lehigh, and so the closest one to us is going to be the Saratoga one.
That one's open now. Right? Yeah.
So I need to go. It's a great product. I mean, you guys do a great job, like the branding, the box.
Thank you.
I mean, it's awesome, man. So I'm stoked for you guys.
Wait, but it's different, right? Do you think it's the same color as Crumble?
Yeah. It's hard to differentiate.
We wanted to do like a gender reveal parody video of like, imagine Chase, you know, like, honey, what is it, a boy or girl? And then you get a Dirty Dough box or a Crumble box, but you're so confused
because you can't tell the difference.
You're like, what are we having?
That's hilarious.
Anyways,
Okay, so you guys basically tripled your franchise commitments from this. I was going to ask, so you mentioned capital and funding. So for when you guys started through the, I guess, the lawsuit taking place and getting stuff on the ground, was that like self-funded? Have you brought investors in?
We brought investors in June. We raised about $800,000.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're doing another round right now.
Okay. Got it. And that's just to fund like the marketing and, I mean, you got to...
It's really the warehouse.
Okay, and the warehouse, the production for all the franchisees.
And just setting up that and all the machines. And so it's a lot more expensive to get going, but then it's a lot cheaper for the franchisees.
Got it. Is it just one central location? Where's that? Where's the warehouse?
It's in Linden, Utah.
I didn't know it was here.
I mean, we're just moving this month. Right now it's in Springville. And then we're looking at... somewhere back out east as well, maybe Tennessee. That would probably do a second one. Yeah.
Got it. So how are you guys? So how are you different? You mentioned you've got the single point of distribution. So you're manufacturing all the dough, all of the cookies. And
so like our flour, sugar, butter, we don't go through a third party vendor.
Okay.
So that saves you 10+%. Then you don't buy 50-pound bags of flour. You buy a truckload. That's another 10+% off. Mm-hmm. So you're getting massive discounts. And then where our Crumble is going to mix 65 cookies per batch, roughly. Mm-hmm. We mix thousands of cookies per batch, because we have giant mixers.
Yeah.
They use teenagers. We use professional bakers. Then they weigh every single cookie by hand, very inconsistent, very time consuming and expensive. We run it through a machine that gives us the 3-layer cookie. So not only is the quality control consistency all there, but it also gives us a cookie you just can't do by hand. A 3-layer cookie is like a peanut butter cookie, and then you break it open and there's chocolate in the middle, chocolate dough, and in the very center there's hot fudge. So it's a multi-layered, multi-flavored cookie, but that requires zero labor. You just put that in the oven. When it comes out, that's what it is. So not only is the labor to create it a lot less, but also to serve it to your customer, because you don't have to put an inch of frosting on it.
Sure.
Make it look all pretty.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be ugly cookies. Like, that's the messaging and that's the branding, is these cookies, just like life, are messy and dirty, but there's sweetness inside, right? They're meant to be enjoyed. And it's we have a big mental health push on that. And that's a lot of the messaging.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you've got 270 or so commitments. Is the plan to just, what's your vision for Dirty Dough over the next few years? Is it
1,000 stores? Yeah.
1,000 stores?
1,000 stores opened in conjunction with 1,000 wellness centers, which is like a old classroom in a K through 12 school that's been converted to a place that kids can be proactive about their mental health and learn about mental health, different techniques. So yeah, that's the goal. Do that in 5 years. 1,000 stores open and 1,000 wellness centers opened.
That's great. That's a big goal, man.
Yeah, we're going for it.
You guys are feeling good about it. Sounds like. You're on a great,
we're a quarter
path.
of a way there, and it hasn't been a year.
Yeah.
As far as sold, right?
Sold, yeah.
Opening is a whole nother beast.
Yeah.
But that seems to be going really well as well.
And are you guys providing like architectural support? Laying out the layout of the stores?
It's a pretty plug and play. Yeah, you buy the franchise, and here's the whole game plan. So here's the architect that you should use. Now, if your dad's an architect and you can do it for cheaper, use your dad. You know, here's the contractor you should use, and the realtor and the permit. Like, everything's laid out. But if somebody's like, well, I am a contractor, cool. It doesn't matter. Yeah. We just provide a very easy way. But if you feel like there's a better way, then go ahead and do it. But we don't leave it up to the franchisees to kind of just be like, oh, what should I do? Because part of the mission of Dirty Dough is lowering the barrier of entry to entrepreneurship. Make it where somebody would never own a business, but they're like, wait, with an SBA loan, maybe I can get into this for 40, 50 grand.
Yeah.
Get an SBA loan with very low payments, and it's lower risk, and I don't need to be there every day. This could be supplementary to what I'm already doing. The amount of employees that I have to manage is substantially lower than any of the competition. There's only like 1 or 2 employees there usually at a time.
Yeah.
So just helping people take that leap by like, here's the game plan. That's the franchise model. Then we've reduced the cost to open one of these by less than half compared to a Crumble. Oh, then the time and the expertise to run one of these, again, you don't need to be a baker, and you don't need to be there because you're not managing so many employees.
So are you okay with franchisees not moving out to Tennessee or wherever? And
I just think that, how do you scale? If you're a franchisee, don't you want to be able to scale your business? Well, how are you going to scale if you're required to be in every store? You can't.
Sure.
It's just not. And then that's the other thing, like, do you want to buy yourself a job? or do you want to buy yourself something that gives you freedom and passive income?
Right.
So some people argue like, oh, an owner operator, you know, you as a franchisor company, you guys will make more money because they'll make a little bit more money because they're going to care for it more. It's like, cool. That's not what I'm after though. Like I'm after a lifestyle, and I'm after our franchisees having that same lifestyle. So if we take a little haircut off the top in exchange for a lifestyle that we like, there's not, I mean, who's going to say no to that, right?
Yeah, right.
Of course you're going to do that. Like, oh yeah, I'll take a little bit less so I can actually have free time.
That makes a lot of sense. What is the cost right now you guys are assuming for a
Like
new franchise?
low 200s.
Oh, wow.
You know, it just
reasonable.
depends. So like, yeah, with like a $50,000 down payment, then SBA comes into maybe 200.
Yeah.
And then you pay your franchise fee, your build out. That's the biggest variance, right? But they're around $100,000.
Wow.
For like the contractor work, $50,000 for the equipment, and then you have like signage and some other things here and there, and then working capital, opening inventory, you know, so $250 to be safe.
Nice. Have you seen a lot of are you getting a lot of interest from other cookie franchisees that are, I don't know, whether it's Crumble or Crave or Chip
Yes
or
and
whoever,
no.
like, can they come in? Are they?
They can't. So both agreements prohibit that. You can't own a competing business.
Got it.
However, do we get people that are looking at other franchises and then look at us and end up going with us instead? Yeah.
Got it.
And the big thing is, what I would pit us up against anybody is who has a more simple model than us, and then who has a better team than us, like a more experienced team. And I think we win out of both of those any day of the week.
That's awesome, man. So I guess backing up a little bit, like high level, you know, why did you decide to go down the entrepreneurship path? You know, I mean, coming out of quitting or dropping out of school, making that pivot, going into solar, doing Dirty Dough. Why do you think you went down that path? Why not, you know, go get a job that pays well, or, you know, have more security? Or
just because I'm arrogant, dude. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. I worked at an oil refinery and just like was a grunt there. But I'm like, dude, I work way better than anybody else here that's making the same amount. You know, I just don't like, I want it performance based. I want to eat what I kill. I don't know. I just have that, you know, that kind of that competitive mindset. Maybe I learned that from sports or whatever, but I'm like, I'm not worth $100,000. I'm not worth $200,000. I'm like, I'm worth whatever I'm going to go make, you know?
Right.
However many franchises, like, don't pay me unless I get paid, because I know I'm going to be better than other people. So I think it's kind of just me being arrogant.
Yeah.
But that is my belief. Like,
Yeah.
performance based is what works for some people.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's just a mental thing. Some people would rather have kind of the biweekly or bi-monthly income and stability, and know that check's coming in every month or so. But
see, that would drive me. But what if you're fired? You know?
Yeah.
Guess who can't get fired? I can't fire myself. Like, I'm here.
Yeah.
You know,
it's counterintuitive. It is, because you think about go and put it all into a job for a paycheck that seems secure. But yeah, if you get fired, you're done. I mean, that your income just went from X to zero, you know?
Yeah. So a lot of it, I also think it could be chasing more security. And I get more security the more money I get, and I can earn a lot more money not working for somebody else. Yeah. So I would argue that this route, maybe it was a little bit more insecure for the first 2 years. And then since then, I've been a lot more secure financially.
Yeah. That's great. How do you think about money? I mean, now that you've had, I mean, I know you're relatively still early, right, in this whole thing, but I mean, you've had success. What is your view on money? You know, how do you treat it? What do you think it does?
It's just a tool, you know. I mean, and I didn't understand that for a while. Everybody says that, but you really have to, like, what are you after in a business? And it's like, well, I want more money. And then in the back of your mind, you're like, well, I want more money because free time, blah, blah, blah. But you don't actually go down that route. You have to. Like, what is money going to get you? For me, it was more free time. But what is free time going to get me? Well, that's going to give me more, maybe, vacation time. And what does that get me? Well, I'm going to bring my family. And what does that get me? Well, my family makes me happy. Oh, boom, that's what I want. Yeah. I want to be happy, and my family makes me happy. I don't need all the money to do that. You know, like, I don't need to work the nights and the weekends and all of that, like, because that's not what I'm after. So I think money could be a very big distraction. But if you know that it's a tool, what is that tool doing for you? And what is that end result? So that's how I view it now, is like, I'm after more joy and more fulfillment. That's what I'm after. And if money helps me, and it could sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't, but I'm not after a paycheck. I'm after joy and fulfillment.
Yeah, you're after the things that can come from money, the tool, as you mentioned, opportunities that it can buy, freedom it can buy, time it can buy,
or status, or whatever it is. Yeah. Somebody wants a nice car or a nice house. Well, why?
Yeah,
because they want to be seen like that. Well, why? Probably because they're insecure. Like maybe go see a therapist instead. But I'm sincere about that.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's valid.
Go if that's where you get your validation. And I'm not saying I don't, because I do. I drive a nice car. I live in a nice house, but I also see a therapist. So there you go.
Double-edged sword. That's awesome, man. So I saw on your LinkedIn you invest in real estate. So tell us a little bit about your just real estate, what you're investing in, and then apart from real estate, how are you investing? Yeah,
I got my first property right after I did my first summer. I actually only did 2 months because I joined halfway through the summer. Okay. I made $24,000. So you can't really buy a property with $24,000, but I actually can. But no, I can't because I don't have the credit nor the job history. So I partnered with a brother and I did all the legwork. I said, look, I got a renter, I got the property. Will you co-sign with me? It's $220,000 for a condo in Saratoga Springs. Okay. This was in 2015, I think, maybe 2016. And they wanted to kind of get in the nitty gritty because I think it could be helpful. It was $220,000 and then you have to pay closing cost, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say closing costs were $10,000. So what I asked them to do was hey, we'll pay the $230,000. We'll pay more than what you're asking, but you pay the closing cost. So that way now I'm financing the closing cost over 30 years at a 3% interest, right? My payments go up like nothing. But it saves me $10,000 up front. So then you only have to put down 3.5% of the $220,000. And then again, or of the $230,000, it was $9,000 and I paid half of that. So I paid $4,500 to get into a house. Wow. And then it cash flowed up until, summer of last year. So me and my brother, again, I did all the legwork. Now we sold it. It went up a few $100,000. And we did a 1031 exchange into a property in Provo with 12 bedrooms, and we have 13 tenants.
Nice.
Cash flows over $3,000 a month now, and it has several $100,000 worth of equity. And it started with $4,500, or I guess $9,000, right? But with that, that owner occupied is the way to go. Living in there, so I lived in there for a little bit before we rented out, and then I've done that, and I have 6 properties now. I had 7, I just sold one. One of them's an Airbnb, the rest are long-term rentals.
You've lived in all of those, basically.
Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Yeah, and just that way you're able to take advantage of the lower rates, lower down payment. 3.5%
FHA loan for your very first one, I think is all. And then after that, as long as it's been a year and you're moving, it's 5% down.
Yeah.
So I can get into a $500,000 house for $25,000. And if I did that 2 years ago, it went up $100,000, Right. So on top of the rents. But it's very passive for me. I have somebody that runs that full time. I don't even field the calls. If we need to buy a new washer or dryer, I don't. I'm just I don't want to be involved with it. I'm not. Yeah, they cash flow, but I just keep it in a separate account and don't really pay attention to it. And then once it goes up, and then maybe take a few grand out here and there.
Got it.
But it's not worth the time, I don't think.
To have to manage it and
to just think about it.
Yeah.
Because I have so much better potential of what I'm doing
with Dirty Dough. Focusing on that. That makes sense. So the 6 that you own, have those been kind of taking active income from sales, solar, and investing it? Or have you been able to domino, one without having to, or have you just been throwing down?
Other than the one I just told you.
Yeah, just 1031.
But if you're 25 to, it's like solar, that's with 3 sales, I can go buy another house, in this way, right? Which is only one a year, whatever. Yeah. But that's how I've done it.
So
you have to be in a position to be able to say, if I bust my ass, I can make an extra $30,000, and then with that $30,000, I can buy a property, and that property is going to go up $100,000 in the next year.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what happened with all these properties, at least that much. Mm-hmm. But you had to have that, I guess, to start with it. So it was the opportunity that I set myself in with sales and with commission. I'm like, I could just work a little bit harder with a specific goal in mind.
Yeah, that's great. And is the idea with Dirty Dough, so assuming that's going to be an awesome success, which I have no doubt it will be. Are you hoping to roll? I mean, you're going to have distributions, you have cash flows as owner. Is it plowed into real estate or diversify into other things? I mean, have you thought that far?
Yeah, I do some like Forex trading stuff. But again, it's just a platform that's passive and some crypto stuff. And I don't know what the hell it is, but I do try to diversify it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure I want to get more into commercial, and we're actually looking at buying a cookie facility that's already up and running. Nice. Hopefully we'll actually close on it in a few weeks, but we're buying the whole property as well. So now we can own, our own facilities, things like that. So
it's great.
Yeah, kind of just whatever comes.
Cool, man. I love it. Well, we can wrap up here. I wanted to just a couple last quick questions. So what would be your advice to somebody who's wanting to start their own business, but has either been on the sidelines or has been worried about money or fear or not knowing enough? What would be your advice to somebody who wants to do something on their own?
My number one advice, you'd have to invest a few grand, but like $2,000, I think is what it costs. Startup ignition. That's what I did after I sold my solar company.
Okay.
And I didn't know anything about business. And then I got an advisory board and set it up correctly. I got all the vesting agreements, and now we could raise money, at a $40+ million valuation just a year after I set it all up correctly. Now that cost $2,000, but I didn't know what a scalable business was. So I would do that. And in that, what it's teaching you is exactly what you just asked. How do I get, and it's all about bootstrapping, like not raising money for as long as possible, or never raising money. But how do I get an idea, and how do I test that idea? How do I bring that to market in the safest, most effective way possible? So anyways, really good. And then once I prove my idea, then the legal side and how to set up all that to structure yourself for rapid growth and a big exit.
And is this like a mentorship program online, like a course or something? It's called Startup Ignition?
It's Startup Ignition. It's in Utah, and they do it like once a quarter.
Got it. Like in-person kind of class type?
Yeah, it's like 3 days. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's what I would do. Other than that, E-Myth Revisited is a book.
Okay.
And it teaches you how to go into the business with the correct mindset of, I don't want to own my own job. I want to own a business. Mm-hmm. So I have to think with the end of mind. And the end in mind is I'm not at the store every day, or I'm not at the studio every day, or XYZ. I'm not involved in the business every day.
Got it. I love it.
So yeah, 2 pieces of advice there.
I like it. That's great. And then last question, what does success look like for Bennett Maxwell?
My mission statement is to find more joy and fulfillment, or to find joy and fulfillment despite life's dirtiness in myself, and then help as many people as possible. So how am I, feeling those high moments of happiness? How am I feeling fulfilled? That's usually contributing to helping other people. And then despite life's dirtiness is don't wait for life to be perfect in order to feel the joy and fulfillment. And then obviously I need it first and need to figure it out myself. And then as I'm doing that, help as many people as possible. But that's success. If I lived a successful life, I've completed that mission statement.
I love it, man. No better way to end.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here, Bennett. This was incredibly interesting, and just great conversation. So appreciate the time, man.